Protesters in Seattle have decided that they will give us a vivid, breathing example of how the world will function. Police were completely expelled from 6 blocks in downtown Seattle, and armed guards were deployed at all entrances to the Capitol Hill Autonomous District to ensure that their utopias were not interrupted. At first, people were dancing and singing on the streets. Everyone was given free food, gardens were launched, and free movies were watched under the stars at night. It was a great start for CHAZ, but within a few hours, big problems began to develop. The protesters wanted to show everyone how caring they can be, so they invited the homeless population of Seattle to share their free food. In fact, it turned out that the homeless were getting more food than they should have been, and this created a crisis. The homeless people were invited to take away all the food at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. We need more food to keep the area operational. Please, if possible, bring vegan meat substitutes, fruits, oats, soy products, etc. Anything to help us eat. Yeah, she was pretty serious. If you live near CHAZ and have extra vegan meat substitutes, fruits, oats, soy products, etc., there are really hungry radicals that will really appreciate the help when you are walking around, if any. But please don't bring anything heavily processed to them, because that makes them angry. If you try to give them something that contains real meat, that potentially revolts. In addition to a marked food shortage, residents of CHAZ are also dealing with a leadership crisis. Now all the cops are gone. It was only a matter of time before someone else took over, and the person who took the post is a heavily armed rapper named Roz Simone. Seattle's new autonomous zone, a 6-block area established by protesters after the police and National Guard pulled out of city's Capitol Hill neighborhood, now has a heavily armed warlord, and he is already enforcing his streets. SoundCloud rapper Roz Simone and his entourage have claimed the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, CHAZ, as their territory, and have already been filmed regulating when a man wouldn't stop spraying graffiti over an urban art installation, telling him, "We're the police of this community now." Somehow, Simone was able to get his hands on an AK-47, and even though we keep being told that these are peaceful protests, Simone has told those under his commands that what they are facing is war. Simone, a local rapper with an AK-47 slung from his shoulder and a pistol attached to his hip, screamed, "This is war," into a white and red megaphone, and instructed armored paramilitaries to guard the barricades and shifts. Before this stunt, no one had heard of Roz Simone, and I think this is a way to make a name for yourself and sell a lot of records. A SoundCloud rapper becoming the warlord in an Antifa insurgency controlled autonomous zone in Seattle is proof we live in simulation. Washington Governor Jay Inslee initially insisted that activists did not even know that he had captured much of Seattle's city center. Later, he changed his tune and now says he expects a peaceful solution. And I hope this is exactly what we will see. But for now, protesters seem determined to dig long distances. Watch this news segment to better understand what is happening in the Seattle neighborhood occupied by far-left extremists. Governor Jay Inslee said he wasn't aware this was even happening. Needless to say, President Trump is not amused by any of this. In fact, he is warning that if local officials do not shut down CHAZ, he will do it himself. President Trump issued a demand for Democratic-controlled Seattle to be brought back under order immediately. As Antifa anarchists claimed control of a 6-block zone and a police station. Radical left governor of Washington J. Inslee and the mayor of Seattle are being taunted and played at a level that our great country has never seen before. Trump tweeted late on Wednesday, "Take back your city now. If you don't do it, I will. This is not a game. These ugly anarchists must be stopped immediately. Move fast." He continued, "It is hard to believe that this is actually in America, but as we continue to warn, what we have seen so far is just the beginning. As the economic conditions worsen, Americans are just going to even angrier and even more frustrated." On Thursday, we learned that 1.5 million Americans made new demands for unemployment benefit last week. About 1.5 million Americans filed first-time applications for unemployment insurance last week. The Labor Department said Thursday that pushes the tally of those who have made initial claims, a rough measure of layoffs over the past 12 weeks, to a staggering 44.1 million. This didn't have to happen. After states began to reopen, the tsunami of job losses had to stop, but instead we continue to see Americans lose their jobs at a rate far beyond anything we have seen in all United States history. Continuing to remind my readers, the old record for the week before this year was just 695,000. So no one should think of using the word healing to describe what is happening until it goes below this level. The truth is that the United States economy continues to be scattered around us, and even the New York Times admits that millions of interconnections have been damaged in our economic system. The texture of the economy has been shattered by the damage caused by millions of interconnections among workers and employers, companies and suppliers, debtors and lenders. Both the historical evidence of serious economic crisis and the data obtained today point to enormous delayed effects. There are many denials here, as in the 1930s, said Eric Ratchway, a historian from the University of California, Davis, who has written extensively on the Great Depression. At the beginning of the Depression, nobody wanted to admit that there was a crisis. The actions taken by the government were not enough for the scope of the problem, but it was very quick to say there was a return. If you think the anger we have had so far is something, wait until you see what happens in the coming years. We entered a very disturbing new chapter in the United States history, and things are starting to get out of hand. Tens of millions of Americans have already lost their jobs, and the very generous unemployment bonuses they receive will end in late July. There is a lot of economic pain on the horizon. A long, hot summer awaits us, and this is an election year. All this causes great trouble, and larger social turmoil can spark at any moment. Most of the idea, comment, information, and criticism containing in these videos have been created by Daily News Report. Before making any important investment decision, use the information contained in these videos as a starting point for conducting your own research. If you make any investment or legal decision, it is advised to consult an expert before making this decision.